What's up, VC? Welcome back. Part two of my little trip, my adventures, exploring record stores in California. Part one, if you missed it, San Diego, now Los Angeles. So headed to Los Angeles for 3 days, 3 nights. And I would say I went to record stores on every day that I was there. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, was able to hit record stores. And I had a meetup planned with Alex, Moderick, 24/7, 247, and Sherv, Julius Jabbar, which I was excited for. So first day I got there, I went to 2 stores, Record Safari. No, I went to 3 stores. Record Safari was the first one. We were staying in Echo Park. Record Safari was like 10-15 minutes away. So convinced my girlfriend that once we checked into the Airbnb to kind of like pop out and go check out Record Safari. Record Safari obviously quite famous as big online presence. Alex made the documentary, curates a selection, the record shop at Coachella, used to be part of Glass House Records, and then he opened his own shop, Record Safari. Really cool shop. I would say in terms of, you walk to the back of the parking lot and outside is really cool. Inside, as you can see online, they post videos, on record store day or big days when people are rushing in. It's a very long shop with a lot of records, tons of used new arrivals, like more. I haven't seen another shop with anywhere near that except my local shop here, and this might have even had more. And however, I didn't know almost any titles in the used new arrivals, so I don't know if that's like always like that or if it's just what they've been getting in recently. But there was almost no jazz and no soul in the used new arrivals for like probably 1,000 records, or anywhere from 500 to 1,000 records. And so I went to the jazz section. There was a few, but like not stacked with used jazz, considering the size of the shop and the number of records they have in there. So yeah, nice shop. The prices, from what I could tell, is kind of hard for me to judge because a lot of titles I'm not familiar with. But I would say, seemed like the records were mostly in great shape, super clean covers, and prices seemed reasonable from what I could tell. Alex was there. They had like 3 other employees, I think. Nothing like no crazy rare used records that I could see. So I was kind of disappointed. I didn't have high expectations because any shop these days, I know I expect it to be picked over, or just super expensive. But I was hoping to find maybe something. Didn't find anything, but would definitely go back there to explore. Where else did I go that day? So then I went to, I can't remember the name of the area that this is in, Arroyo Records, Highland Park. And also cool little shop, small. The owner was the only guy there. We went kind of around, it was like 6 p.m. at this point. And good, so like small, not medium size on the small end, and some nice records on the wall. Few things in the sections. Prices were reasonable, and the guy was really nice. Actually, had a little chat with him. So recommend Arroyo Records, but I didn't find anything. Then on the street where we were staying on Sunset Boulevard in Echo Park, there's a place called Cosmic Vinyl Cafe, which my cousin who lives in Echo Park had told me about, and also Alex had said that he had been there with Sherv and that there was a decent jazz section or jazz selection. So it's a coffee shop, kind of what I've seen these before, typical, like mostly a coffee shop vibe, some tables, small food stuff, and on the outskirts in the back were records. I was actually really surprised with what they had. There was a Horace Tapscott Live at Lobero Volume 2, I believe it was, on Nimbus, which I didn't need, but was impressed to see it there. Gratian Monker, New Africa, a couple Blue Notes, but were in rough shape. And a few things in the jazz section too. I didn't find anything that I needed, but I was honestly really impressed with the selection of quality titles and the prices. So Cosmic Vinyl Cafe, as Alex said, he was like, the place was stacked with jazz. So I don't know if this is like the owner pulling from his own collection, or where they're sourcing these records, but impressive. So that was the first day. Second day, we went down to Angel City Books and Records, which is, I believe, in Santa Monica, and love the vibe of the shop. Mostly a bookstore. Didn't find any records I wanted, but just the energy and the space, loved it. I would have loved it even more if it was had tons of records I wanted for good prices. Not the case, but small, packed books and records with a little upstairs nook with more records. So that was, I enjoyed it there, but I was in and out in maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then Record Surplus, which is, I feel like we were like kind of driving from Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, Hollywood. So it's somewhere in that area, but it was a bit of a drive still from Amoeba, Hollywood. So I don't know what kind of officially what area, but Record Surplus, big store, actually probably bigger than Folk Art. So yeah, that's one of the biggest stores I went to. I would like, for sure they've had great stuff. They had a nice little box of rare stuff, which I posted on Instagram, priced accordingly. No like deals there. I would say some of the used jazz stuff, like more cheap stuff, I found expensive. Like Horace Silver and Voices. I don't even remember. One of the from that series was like 25, which usually they're $5 to $10 Canadian all day. That would have been like 30 something. Seemed odd to me. There was a Willie Bobo record that I wanted, but it was just, it was priced more expensive than the copies online. So it just didn't make sense to me. But I enjoyed the shop. Definitely, I would say like kind of like an old school vibe of a record store. Then Amoeba, which I wasn't sure about. I was like, I'll check it out. Whew. Okay, forget what I said. Amoeba was by far the biggest store I went to, but Amoeba is its own beast. A lot of new, obviously, just massive store, and better than I thought, to be honest, in terms of like used jazz. There wasn't a ton, but I did find a couple records there. But yeah, Amoeba is like, there was so many people, multiple caches, lineup. It's kind of hard they do have a wall behind the jazz section, but then there was like pillars throughout the massive store that had records on them. So I took my time and just kind of walked around, checked it out. I was happy to find 2 records on Soul Note, from the 80s. So Billy Bang Sextet. It's called The Fire From Within. And I have listened to this beautiful record from 1985. Billy Bang, Ahmed Abdullah, William Parker, Oscar Sandys, Thurman Baker, John Betch, and Charles Bobo Shaw on one song. And then I also found this Hamiet Blueit record from 1989 on Soul Note, who the title track here is Killer Nali Kola, that also features James Plunky Branch, Donald Smith, Hugh Masekela, I knew that, but I forgot, on trumpet and flugelhorn. So yeah, haven't listened to this one yet since I got it back, but looking forward to that. So yeah, Amoeba was cool. Hard to find parking around there. Thankfully, I had my girlfriend. They do have parking that I think if you, for like 75 minutes you can get your parking validated with a purchase, but I wasn't sure I was going to find anything, and I had my girlfriend who was able to just go sit in the car somewhere. How kind. And then from there, I popped over to Atomic, which I had been to in 2017 on my 24 hours in LA. I hadn't really found much at Atomic last time until the last second. The guy pulled some stuff out from the back for me, but I knew they have a crazy wall. They're super famous for their wall. The most impressive wall of records you will probably see at any shop. It's huge, crazy rare titles. What I will say, if you ever go there or you're going there, the prices on the wall are very high. I think they kind of are happy to maintain this like impressive wall, and they get, LA people with big money or foreigners who come in and just drop the money, but it's definitely I don't like overspending too much. I did splurge on a few records on this trip, but that one, I was like really trying and seeing if something was, there was one David Axelrod record, which was kind of, seemed like a fair price. I wasn't sure about the condition, and I was just felt like it was kind of a rushed purchase. I would have had to hear it if it sounded good. It did seem like a fair price, but I decided to leave it knowing that I would probably find other records. What I did grab, because I've wanted this record for a while, Cal Jader and Eddie Palmieri, Sonido Nuevo, the new Soul Sound on Verve. What? I feel like they must use Discogs if they're putting these prices, because they're even higher than Discogs history. So I don't know how they're pricing things. Like, this was a normal price, not cheap, but then you must be able to get deals there, because I feel like some things are so off of the online price that they must just be pricing based on what they think. Because like, there's a record, for example, that I saw, an Impulse record that should have been a $10 to $15 record, and they had it for $50. So I think they're like, this looks cool, it's on Impulse, $50. But you could buy a copy all day for $10, and even in another shop the next day found a copy for $8.99. So I'm sure that works both ways, where maybe sometimes they're like, oh, this is this price, and maybe you're getting some deals there. It's kind of a messy shop in a sense. There was like kind of boxes you had to move. But it's two brothers, I believe, really nice guys, talkative. I didn't engage with them because they were talking with other people, but the shop was like right before closing. There was a bunch of people in there. But yeah, Atomic, great shop, also easy to find parking. Just not sure about the pricing. Next day, so that was Thursday. Friday was meetup with Alex and Sherv. Sherv was kind enough to come pick me up so that we could ride together and just for the day instead of all being in separate cars. When we got to the first shop, which was Healing Force of the Universe, met up with Alex. Sherv was really kind and had purchased a record for me the day before. This is Dyke and the Blazers, Down on the Funky Broadway. This is a craft reissue. Never heard of Dyke and the Blazers, so I'm looking forward to checking this out. Kind of like 60s funk is my understanding. Vintage desert jams from the legendary musicians who helped write the lexicon of funk. So very, very kind of you, Sherv. Looking forward to grooving to that. Alex actually also had a VCLT for me. Very generous, but a record that I already had. But thank you, Alex. Really appreciated the gesture. So Healing Force of the Universe, one of the nicer shops in terms of just the space, the energy in there. It's a brand new shop. Unfortunately, not a lot of depth in terms of quality. Alex and Sherv, I think, bought something because they wanted to support. I bought a tote to support, but the guy was so nice. Really nice kind of sitting area, couches, just really bright, spacious. He offered us coffee, which was actually very delicious. Unfortunately, just couldn't find a record there for me, but I did support with a tote, just because I appreciated the space and his vibe a lot. Then we went to, so we're in Pasadena. That's where we decided to kind of hit. Sorry, I didn't mention a bunch of shops in Pasadena. That was the first one, Healing Force of the Universe, and Sibyline was the second one, which is also a new shop. I think these three shops in Pasadena are all opened up relatively recently. This shop, tiny, super tiny. I think they're just like constantly refilling it, keeping it very curated. A lot of African records, but you know, African records, what the story is, rough shape, but really tight selection. It was bumping in there for such a small shop, very busy. The people there were really nice. Very impressed with Sibyline, and I didn't want to leave with nothing. This was more than I like to pay in terms of me assessing price, what a value of a record is. But at this point, I had been to how many shops? 23 shops, and had not found much in the shops and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just not gonna find much on the strip at all. So I was like, let me splurge on this. I'm with Alex and Sherv. So I grabbed this, another Hugh Masekela record, also on Blue Thumb Shisa, and it's super clean copy. The cover is in immaculate condition. It does have this little punch hole, but they had this up on the wall, so decided to grab that because I was like, I maybe buy nothing today. I didn't end up finding an expensive record that I wanted, so if I had known what I was gonna find, I might have not grabbed that, but that's how it goes. I also grabbed this, which I ended up seeing several copies of from like in other shops afterwards. This is Bobby Hutcherson, Highway 1 on Columbia from I think 78 or 79. Really nice record, very kind of laid back vibe, mellow, reflective. I enjoyed this. I did listen to it. Super kind of common, easy to find, clearly, since I think I saw 4 or 5 copies, but not one I've ever seen in Montreal for some reason. So I grabbed that. Recommend you grab it if you see it. And then we went to Commune Records, another small, a little bit bigger than Sibi line, but very clean, bright. I really appreciated the space. Not as much as Healing Force of the Universe, but and Alex actually put this into my hands. He's like, oh, do you have this on Catalyst? And I was like, no idea what this is. So this is the Masabumi Kikuchi Sextet. The album title is Matrix, and this is a reissue. So Catalyst reissued this. This is a Japanese jazz record, clearly. This is a reissue from 1977. I believe it originally came out in 69 or 70, 71, somewhere around there. I can't remember if it was RCA Victor, but when you look on Discogs, there's like almost, I don't even know if it's ever been sold on Discogs. So I was like happy to pick up this 77 reissue on Catalyst for a fair price, it seems. So I did spin this one. Very nice record. Looking forward to digging into it some more. Then we went for lunch. Had a nice lunch, grabbed a beer. Then what we thought was the last shop, ended up being second to last, was Permanent Records, which you might also follow on Instagram. They're always posting stuff up for sale on Instagram. Permanent is like a venue, bar type of situation, and they have a record store kind of as a separate, in a separate little building. So you walk kind of, the street front is I guess the venue, but if you go on the side, there's like a hill you go down, and in the back, there's almost like a little shed where is the record store. Very small, but well curated, I would say. Not a lot of junk in there. Definitely somewhat, considering inside of the store, a nice like selection of, you know, what they would call rare titles. I did a video of that, lots of high-end stuff if you wanted to splurge. What I did splurge on was this record that's been on my want list for a long time. So the Gat Mangione Trio, Diana in the Autumn Wind, made famous if you're a hip-hop guy because of the Dilla samples. Boy with Toys, the first track, as well as Diana in the Autumn Wind. Just a beautiful, beautiful record. It's Gap on piano and some beautiful electric piano. I believe his brother does play on here. You also have Clark Terry on here. It's like a big group. Jerome Richardson, Joe Farrell, Frank West. A huge group here. And it's funny because it's called the Gat Mangione Trio, but it is by no means a trio record. They have lots of friends with them. But check that one out if you don't know it. It's on, what's the label? Some like private label, it seems, that is not even listed here. It's on GRC. Okay, then we chilled for a bit outside, had a beer, chatted. Really great to meet Alex and Sherv. Just, you know, it's as if I would say we've been friends for a while. I mean, we've obviously connected online and interacted through YouTube, Instagram, but just, it was as if we had hung out before, very relaxed, easygoing, great guys, would hang out with them again anytime. Just rare. I don't ever, well, not never, but when I'm out digging, it's rare to have that I'm doing it with someone. So it's nice to have someone to kind of share stuff with you, or say like, oh, do you know this record? Always fun to be out on those like kind of day digs with people with similar tastes who are very knowledgeable and just overall nice guys. So it was a pleasure, gentlemen. I did convince them to go to one more record store. We thought at this point it was like almost, I think it was like 6, getting dark, or was dark, and I convinced them to head over to Sonido del Valle because it wasn't too far away, which focuses on Latin records. And if you had a lot of time, I'm sure I could have found stuff there because it was just stacked with titles that I didn't know. The owner, I don't know if he's a solo owner or has partners, but was extremely kind, knowledgeable, great comment. We were talking about music. He was showing us stuff. I think Sherv grabbed a blues record there. I did discover a gospel record that was up on the wall that I didn't splurge on, but that blew me away from what I heard online. Definitely into like more messy, a lot of stuff in maybe rough condition in the shop, but totally different from the Pasadena shops we went to, which are like super curated, everything clean type situation. But I was happy to check out the shop, and the owner there was one of the nicest of any of the shops we went to, I would say. So that was Sonido del Valle. So that wrapped up our day. We basically went, Sherv picked me up from at 10:30 in the morning, and we went until basically 7 p.m. So we literally spent the whole day doing these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shops and lunch. Great day. Then Saturday, the next day, I was heading back to San Diego. Didn't really have much planned, so was able to hit a couple shops on the way, 3 shops on the way home, back to San Diego. Stopped into Studio Records in El Segundo, which was kind of a hot mess of a place. For sure, there's been stuff there over the years, but half the stuff in the sections weren't even priced. And from what I could tell from the prices, expensive. So I didn't even bother asking. There was quite a few like, nice titles there, but just based on what I was seeing on the prices, the unpriced stuff, I wasn't going to bother. Very like kind of antique, packed, messy, dirty, which is fine. But if I'm digging in a place like that, I'm kind of expecting to maybe have not the price of like a curated shop in LA, but that wasn't the case. So didn't really compute in my head there. So didn't grab anything there. Then I headed to Long Beach. We headed to Long Beach. That was going to be our last stop. I followed 12's Long Beach on Instagram, and I wanted to check out that shop. So went to 12's, similar to the shops in Pasadena, where it's like a newer shop, super clean, really curated. Obviously that comes with prices, I would say, which the theme across all of these definitely seemed, not like absurdly priced, but on the high end. I wanted to find something there. There was lots of good records, but nothing that I needed myself for my collections, either stuff I had or just not what I was looking for. But they did also have a copy of the David Axelrod record that I saw at Atomic, but it was probably a VG, and I sampled it. It sounded like a bit too much surface noise. I bought a t-shirt there because I really liked the design and stuff, and I wanted to support because, once again, the owner was just really kind and friendly, and so yeah, I was happy to support. Disappointed I didn't find anything. I really thought I would find something there with the style and focus of the shop, jazz, Latin, Brazilian, stuff like that. Then went over to Bagatelle, which he recommended to me. It was not on my list or radar. I think someone had mentioned it, but Bagatelle was probably the best shop I went to in a certain sense. Old school shop. The owner is in his 70s. He's been around for a long time. Okay. Only takes cash. And the prices were super fair. Not like there was a big jazz section, but the opposite of the other shop. Not curated, not filled with junk. I was able to find a few records If I was local, I probably would have maybe grabbed a few other things, but definitely found a few records that I had been wanting. So to continue the Hugh Masekela theme, this record, which had been on my radar for the past couple years, and I did see a copy at Folk Arts, but it was in rough shape, and I think it was the same price or even more expensive. Price is extremely fair at this Bagatelle place, and he knows it. He was saying, he's like, I know my prices are like on the low end. Shops and dealers come in here all the time. I know they're coming to buy and resell. He's like, as long as I get what I want for it, I'm cool. The most of all the stores, I mean, I was the only one in there for most of the time, the most talkative, asking me questions, just like nonstop. And which I didn't mind, but I was also, my girlfriend was waiting, wanted to get back. So it was slowing me down, but appreciated his just, general friendly demeanor and curiosity about, what was I from? What am I into? Whereas in most shops, they don't give a shit. This I did listen to, so I don't understand why this record on Chisa is worth almost nothing compared to those other two, which are not crazy expensive, but go for, 3 or 4 times the price of this record. Doesn't really compute in my head because this is killer stuff. Recommend highly Hugh Masekela and the Union of South Africa. So I got 3 Hugh Masekela records, as well as that Soul Note record that has Hugh Masekela on it. So seems to be the theme. This I'd wanted for a while, never seen a copy. The only complaint about Bagatelle is the price stickers are really hard to get off. I haven't tackled this one yet, but this is Monk Higgins Heavyweight, $8 on United Artists. Can't see the label. And then lastly, I played this quickly yesterday, probably a bit slick for me, but I wanted to check it out. Eddie Henderson, Mahal, one of his later ones. This one's on EMI. Herbie Hancock, Benny Maupin, Julian Priester, Paul Jackson, Hubert Laws, Matume, from, I believe it's 78. Yeah, so anyway, I'll give this one some more spins and see if I get into it, but I wasn't in the mood for it yesterday when I put it on. There was another shop, Third Eye, that was in Long Beach that I wanted to go to, but the guy had a sign outside that said like be back at 2:30, and it was 2:40 and he still wasn't there. So we pieced out. And yeah, that was it. That's total of 29 shops, 30 shops if you count Steve. And I went to a couple times. Beatbox I went to twice. Folk Arts 3 times. So that's a wrap on my little kind of adventures into a little Chicago, San Diego, and LA. 30 shops, and I came back with 26 records if you count the VCLT from Sherv, and I got 5 of those. So 25 records I purchased. 5 of them were from Steve. So in 29 actual physical stores, I purchased 20 records. Yes, I was being selective, but I would say I didn't leave a ton of stuff behind that I was like, oh, I really want this, but I can't buy it because I can only carry so many. Obviously, if money was no object, there were a ton of records I would have bought, but that's not the case. Hope you enjoyed kind of this little breakdown. I know long, 2 30-minute videos. So at this point, I'd be shocked if you're still watching. But yeah. Hope everyone's well, and I'll be back who knows when with some more record talk. Peace.